Hey, good morning to those of you out there on the West Coast, way out there in Hawaii, Northern Mariana Islands, America Samoa. Good afternoon to those of you here on the East Coast, where I'm embracing the rain as a way to turn my grass green. I usually like a sunny day, but I'll take a rainy day and I'll be happy about it. Um, hey, I'm excited to see you in here and engaging. Let me turn off some of my captions. I'll get started on the formal part. Do me a favor. I really want to make sure other people see who you are, et cetera. Um, and so I want them to know what your company sells. So make sure as you're coming in, you're engaging in chat, that you give people a little bit about what you do, right? Manage emergency management and economic development. That's perfect. Um, Looking at Dean here with a GovCon focus on cybersecurity and IT services, and then modeling services. That's perfect. Being able to see these things really helps me remember you, but also lets other people know who you are. My content gets seen a lot. For those of you here, early before I start my official training, I will tell you my content, like right now, I'm averaging above 100,000 views every week. So when you think about the amount of people who are looking at my content, and no content is looked at more and longer than these live trainings that I do, and people are able to see the comments that you put in. So I really want them to learn about your business through my training. Okay, speaking of training, let's get rocking and rolling on today's training. Today, we're going to be talking about why federal buyers won't meet with you. In sales, this just happens, right? I have this great line that some will, some won't, so what? And the idea behind that is some people will meet with you, some people won't meet with you. And really, so what? Don't dwell on the ones who won't meet with you. Actually, for those of you really early, I'll give you a quick little story. I learned this from my sister Cecilia, who many of you might see in the GovCon world with me, and now on her own company. But she told me this at my wedding. I have 9 brothers and sisters, so I have a huge family, and one sister-in-law and nephew weren't going to be able to make it. I was fixating on that. I'm like, I can't believe that we're not going to have anybody there. And she's like, how about you celebrate the people who are traveling across the country to your wedding and not fixate on the ones who are not? And in sales, it's kind of the same thing. Sometimes we fixate on the people who are not responding to us and not getting back to us. They're not giving us a meeting, rather than showing lots of love to the ones who are giving us a meeting and do appreciate us. It is one of the hardest things, though, right? Is to get land meetings in the federal market, and really in any kind of sales. It's the hardest thing out there. But if you can't land the meetings, you're not going to be able to sell. And so you have to get good at landing meetings. And then developing relationships, et cetera. But all of that, it's a skill. It is not a talent. I wasn't born with this ability to get in the door, knock on a door and get in. I remember selling vacuum cleaners. The amount of times I would have the doors slammed on me was 95% of the time. That was just like, people who were there seeing me look out, wouldn't open the door, or would open the door, hear me, and shut the door right in my face, right? Sales is just like that. And I describe it like a gold mine, that you have gold that you want, that meeting with a buyer that you're trying to meet. That's gold. If you can get that meeting, you've got a little nugget of gold that you just dug out of your gold mine. But in order to get gold out of your mind, you've got to get rid of all this dirt, sometimes like blasting rock and all this stuff. You have to get rid of all this stuff that is not gold in order to get to the gold. And so gold and dirt and rock make up the gold mine. And in sales, you've just got to embrace the no's as dirt or rock around the gold, the yeses that you want. I put here a couple of quick questions, right? Have these things you're struggling with? Have you ever sent an email and not got a response? And literally, I have sent emails to people who are paying me and I don't get responses. So sending an email to somebody who's not paying me and they don't respond, right? It's kind of a normal thing, but I don't make it the end of the world. And I really hope by the end of this training, I help you realize it's not the end of the world. Just some will, some won't. So what, right? As we go forward. The second thing is, I put here, same thing with the voicemail, right? Do you ever leave a voicemail? I'd be really curious if you think about the amount of times you try to get a meeting with a federal buyer or a teammate, right? But the amount of times you try to get a meeting, what percentage of the time are you sending emails to get that meeting? And what percentage are you doing phone calls? Tell me that right now. Is it a 50-50 split? You do 50% emails, 50% phone calls? Or is it, 80-20, 99.1 to 99 to 1? on the voicemails, just let me know that. Email to voicemail ratio in the chat, just 80-20, whatever that is. I'd be curious whether people are doing a lot of voicemails, especially you, right? Are you doing a lot of outreach through the phone? So it is, being ignored by buyers in a sales role that we have, that's just normal. That's something that's going to be out there. It sucks, but it's sales, right? And when you realize that it is sales and you realize that it's a skill that you can develop, then you start working on gaining the knowledge, which is today's training, right? Gaining the knowledge and what you need to understand in order to develop the skill that will lead you to being able to be good at that skill and to have a lot of good success moving forward. And so that's part of what I want to help you today on. I'm going to break down 3 top reasons on why federal buyers don't come back to you. There's could be a lot of reasons, right? I'm going to give you 3 main ones that are in there. The first one is they're just overwhelmingly busy. I think we all kind of understand this, that anybody you're reaching out to, even people who are trying to reach out to you, you're busy. We're all just busy. And so it just is what it is, and you embrace it. But I want to talk to you about 2 things. One is being a little bit empathetic towards your federal buyer, right? And how busy and why they're busy, understanding that. And then the other is, well, what can you do because they're overwhelmingly busy? And I'm going to follow that same pattern into they don't see the what's in it for me answer, the with them answer. And that's what we all do. If you're going to ask me for time, I'm going to ask you for time. We're going to say, what's in it for me? Now, sometimes what's in it for me is just the joy of helping you, right? That's a totally legitimate thing. But in sales, which we all are when we're trying to get meetings, we need to make sure we're looking at that other person and thinking about it. So I'll talk to you about the with them. And then the last one is you're an unknown to them. This is one of the main reasons that federal buyers won't meet with you, right? If they see your request and they choose not to get back to you, really it comes down to you're an unknown to them. If they don't know who you are or how you tie into the world, then that scares them from having a meeting. So we'll talk about that. That's how I'm going to break today's training down. If you understand this and you agree meetings rock and you need meetings to be able to have good relationships, throw meetings rock into the chat. Let's get a little excitement there. Dean Martin, 40% calls. That is a incredibly high number of phone calls. Good for you, man. I'm really excited to see that. Most people just don't get to that level. Hey, so you all are introducing yourself, but if you don't know who I am, my name is Neil McDonald. I'm the president of the GovCon Chamber of Commerce. I want to welcome you to my federal sales training where I provide tips for success in the federal market. I spent 20 years in the federal market after I got out of the Army as a small business government contractor. Since 2018, I've been teaching people like you that government contracting is not a secret, it's just a process. When we follow a process A to Z, we have repeatable, predictable results. This is what I want for you. This is what I'm teaching today, right? Skill is basically process steps, procedure steps. And so you're going to have more success getting in the door and having meetings with federal buyers. If you haven't done so already, make sure you connect with me here on LinkedIn. Follow me on LinkedIn. This is where we engage with each other. And then subscribe to my government contracting success newsletter. You'll find a ton of good content. I'm constantly putting information in there that is tactical about how can you improve your chances of success. I have a picture here for upcoming training, but frankly, I don't have my upcoming training done until the weekend. And this is all live. I don't do recorded. So today is the 1st of August. So I'll plan out over the weekend what I'm going to do next week. But make sure you follow in on LinkedIn and you'll be able to see that. Okay, let's get rocking and rolling here. By the way, if you're open to connecting, throw that into the chat. Let people know so that they feel comfortable reaching out. And if somebody says they're open to connecting, this is something I see sometimes. People come in and both people will say they're open to connecting, but they don't. And I'm like, just reach out. And now you've expanded your network. You begin to get a lot of visibility out there. Okay, so one of the reasons that federal buyers won't meet you, especially small businesses, right, won't meet with you, is because they're just overwhelmingly busy. I think this is something you can see. If you're in the government contracting world, the federal market, you should be able to see this, right? People are so busy. And in particular in the federal market, because of the changes that happened with the Trump administration, they came in, they laid off a bunch of people. A bunch of people were given the opportunity to leave the government, which lost a lot of senior people. Because of all these people, I mean, all this is happening, right? The workforce is shrinking down, but the work didn't stop. If you look at FY 2025 budget and then you look at FY 2026, which is coming up, the spending is basically the same. And so they had this huge reduction in workforce while the spending stays the same. The amount of work that needs to get done is the same. So those people you're trying to reach out to and talk to are basically 25, 50%, 100% busier than they were last year. And that's really important to remember when you're coming in. You're like, oh, let's just get an hour and talk kind of thing. It's like, no. I barely got an hour to sit there and sleep, let alone talk to you, right? So you need to just understand this kind of thing. One other thing I was talking about as it relates to, the spending is still there, but the workforce is shrinking. An ironic twist to that is the United States Coast Guard under Department of Homeland Security. Their spending in 2026 is basically going to be double what it was in 2025 or 2024. Double. So they lost a bunch of people, and now it's coming back up. They're, in fact, well, I guess ICE is hiring 15,000 people, but Coast Guard said something very similar, 15,000 people ramping up. And so there's all this busyness over there. The second thing that goes along with the Trump administration is the introduction of Doge, right? And when Doge came in, there was all this activity and disruption to the normal way of doing government contracting for government employees, military folks, et cetera. And if you tie that together with AI and this massive acceleration of emerging technologies impact on the federal employee's job and how they're doing stuff, everything is moving so much faster, just so rapidly. I launched this tool called Call Plan AI. I literally built something in less than a month that would have easily taken a year to build this thing out. But I was able to build it so fast. And this is happening within the government. And in particular, the government has to move slower than I did. I moved with, all the guardrails off. They have to have the maturity of a bureaucracy in place. That's just normal for them. But they also have to move at the speed of relevancy and what's going on with not just the efficiencies they can gain and the cost reductions that can happen and that are being demanded by Doge. But now imagine all that is happening on this person you're trying to meet. They're like, geez, my day is just so chaotic, right? Really overwhelmingly busy. And I just need you to understand that's what they're dealing with. We're dealing with it on our side to a degree, but imagine how much is going on their particular plate. I'm not saying it's more or less than you. I'm just saying they're at least as busy as you. And then the third reason related to overwhelmingly busy, something I just put here is as busy as they are, right? Sometimes we think that they're ignoring us, but the reality is they're not even thinking of us. My sister Cecilia likes to say this line that you'd stop caring, you'd stop thinking about how much, you stop caring about what people think of you when you realize how little or how infrequently they think of you. And I know I'm totally butchering it. She's here, she put it in. But you'd stop caring about what they think about you when you realize they just don't have time to think about you. And they can't see every email. You're sending in a request and you're like, oh my God, I've sent 5 emails. They just hate me. They're ignoring me, whatever it is. That's not true at all. I know sometimes there's, contracting officers who might say, oh, we push the spam emails over. I'm like, even the emails they want to see, they're so busy, they just come flooding in, right? And so you have to recognize that as just a reality. And then the next thing is same thing about responding, right? They want to respond, but they get so busy. So this is the situation just as it relates to being overwhelmingly busy. This is why federal buyers don't schedule meetings with you or won't meet with you. What can you do about it? I've got 3 tips here. The first one is, it's kind of a high level one, right? Be patient. You definitely need to be patient and understanding with them and set your expectations at a far more achievable level. And so what I'm recommending is when you reach out to ask for a meeting, don't even ask for a 30-minute meeting anymore, 15 to 30 minutes. People are literally asking for an hour meeting. That's just a waste these days, unless you're working together on something. But if you're doing an introduction meeting, how about we have a coffee date and then we decide whether we want lunch and, go to a 2-hour movie together. Let's just have a coffee date. We'll finish our coffee in 15 minutes, say bye, and see if we're going to have another meeting, right? And that's no different than how we do stuff in the sales world. So what I'm recommending is that you actually ask for a 5 to 10 minute meeting. You will disrupt the way they see things. When they see it, they go, oh my God, Neil's just asking for a 5-minute meeting, 10-minute meeting. I can do that, right? I can do it really quick and then I can, move on to my next task or something. And then you respect that time. I mean, you just hard stop it and you get off. 8 minutes into a 10-minute meeting, you're like, hey, I am not staying beyond it. I know we're having a good conversation. Let's follow up. Let's have another meeting if that's possible, right? But so the first tip for you is ask for a 5 to 10-minute meeting, and it disrupts their way of seeing how we ask for people's time. Second thing is RFI your way in. Put RFIs rock into the chat if you know what I'm talking about. RFIs, requests for information, are the best way to get in and get visibility with somebody who's too busy to take a meeting with you. But they will take the time to read an RFI response that they just asked for from industry. So now you're doing two things. You're getting on their plate, but you're actually getting on a plate with somebody who's in the mood of buying what you're selling. I just saw somebody send me an RFI notice that's around social media and how the government can really up their play on social media. Well, I just told, and they want to get to like 42 million views or something. It's massive. But I just told you I'm running at about a 5 million view a year. And that's with no money. That's me. Imagine what I could do to help them. And so I can turn to some of my customers and say, hey, let's go after that type thing. Well, if we respond in the RFI, now we're able to get in the door and we can talk to them about more things, because now we're establishing a relationship and breaking past that cold part. And so RFIs is my way of saying, be where that person is looking. And sometimes they're not looking in their email, they're not listening to their voicemails, but they are looking at a market research response that you send in. And the last thing is try related doors. Don't fixate on just one person. If you're trying to get a meeting with a federal buyer, don't make it John or Jane, right? Make it that office. And if you make it that office, then you begin to expand out and go, well, I want to find 50 or 100 people related to that office because I want to get in and work with that office. I do not want to work with John, who might not even be here tomorrow. If I can meet John and we talk, that's great. But I don't need to make my whole success measured on whether I meet with John. Hopefully that makes sense, right? You want to get in there and meet John's office. Let's say it's PEO Digital in the Navy. There's 200 people in there. I don't need to meet with just one person. I need to meet with a person who will talk to me, right? So try related doors is what I'm saying there. Okay, so let's talk about a second reason why federal buyers won't meet with you. Federal buyers sometimes won't meet with you because they don't see the WIFM, what's in it for me, answer. When you're reaching out to them, they don't see the WIFM, right? And WIFM, what's in it for me, WIFM is a normal question for any of us to ask. If we're going to be spending time, right, or spending money or whatever it is, we ask ourselves, what's in it for me? Literally, I teach this all the time. When I teach call plans in particular, and you're going into a meeting, it's a purpose statement. I say, here's the purpose of this meeting. That literally is WIFM. The purpose is what's in it for you and what's in it for me. Does it sound good? Good, let's meet, right? And so you don't want to just think about them. Stephen Covey describes you can have a win-win relationship, a win-lose, or a lose-win, or a lose-lose. The only correct relationship to have in a meeting or a long-term relationship, whatever it is a win-win. And so when you think about what's in it for me, and I think about what's in it for them, now I'm starting to care about how they'll make the decision on whether to meet with me. Am I giving them a reason? People are very protective of their time, right? And so they'll be happy to meet with you if it aligns to what they're doing. But if you're coming in and trying to meet with them and you can't define for them or help them easily see what's in it for them, then they're going to see that as a waste of time. And they're not wrong to say that, right? If you can't do that, if I can't do that for you, then it's a waste of your time to meet with me. But if I can give you a reason, I can say, hey, let's get together and we're going to talk. And in that talk, I'm going to give you a strategic plan for 2026. You're like, that sounds like a good WIFM, And then the other thing is when you don't have a WIFM, you're just pause. You just don't take action, right? So how can you do stuff that will give them the answer to what's in it for me? When the federal buyer you're trying to meet is looking at you, one way you can do that is offer them direct value, right? Direct value for their WIFM. What's in it for them? And an example of direct value could be, I want to come in and talk to you about the advances in AI or something, or here's some of the cybersecurity risks that are out in the phishing techniques or something, and we can address it. Think about what could you give them in a meeting. I want to come in and leave something with you. If I was looking at you, I might talk about, all of this is related to a meeting. So I might say, hey, I'm going to come in and talk to you about the call plan, and I want to leave you with the call plan, right? And when you have that, you'll be able to follow my call plan for meetings. Think about what kind of value can you bring them. This is really important because you're selling a product or solution. What value do you and your services bring to that other person? Take a piece of that value and give it to them in the meeting. The second thing you can do to try to help them see the WIFM is align to their strategic priorities. This is one of my favorite things to do on newer meetings, is to read their strategic plan and really understand the objectives and the KPIs or key performance indicators they have in their strategic plan, and then come in and talk. I mentioned Coast Guard has $24 billion in spending, right? Twice as much as 2025. When I go in, there's a Force Design 2028 document that I just shared out the other day. I'm reading it myself and I'm looking at that, and I'm going to go in and talk to them about this one particular area related to technology advancements to be able to help the Coast Guard come up to speed, right? And so I'll allude to that. And now they're looking at that going, oh, what's in it for me is somebody's going to help me explore that particular part of my strategy and how I might be able to achieve it. And then the third thing that I want you to consider for how to get a federal buyer in particular to see the WIFM, what's in it for them, is to be able to speak to their interest, right? It's really important to speak to the other person's interest. Your interests will definitely get taken care of. If you get the meeting, your interests are already getting taken care of, right? But speak to their interests, not yours. We tend to go in and want to tell people all about us, but what are the other person's interests? If you're going to go in and meet with somebody, what are their interests? I was talking to one of my customers who's done on the commercial side hospital stuff. And I said, hey, if you go over to a VA hospital, you can bring those lessons forward. And that's what's interesting them right now, right? They want to know what's being done on the commercial side, or maybe in the VA, they want to know what's being done at DOD on hospital and management as it relates to technology that's coming around, whatever it is. I can bring that to them, and I'm speaking to their interest. This doesn't have to be a big exercise, right? Sometimes I see people take words like value proposition and get really confused by it. It just has to be, you have to answer the question, what's in it for me, on behalf of the person you're trying to meet. If you do that, if you take a few minutes to do that, then you're going to increase your chances of getting meetings. The other thing is it's going to get a lot easier because you're only going to have so many WIFMs, and you're going to find a ton of people who have the same desire for the answer to what's in it for me that you're lining up. So hopefully that makes sense. If it does, put WIFM rocks in the chat. WIIFM, WIFM rocks. I wanted to thank our sponsors for the lives. We've got Graham, who does staffing and American Sign Language services. Really appreciate your support. Also appreciate KZO Consulting, who does pricing, contract compliance support. Check them out, especially for pre and post award. Call Plan AI is my new product. That's where you can find me if you're trying to sit there and build relationships and really get into the federal market. Go check out Call Plan AI, and then LinkedIn for GovCon will help you engage with federal buyers on LinkedIn. And you'll hear me talk about this in the very next slide about that's a process to follow. So check out LinkedIn for GovCon. And thank you to our sponsors. By the way, if you're a sponsor and you're interested, I'm getting ready to line up for 2026. It'll be an exclusive thing for my lives. And I do about, every business day, right? So about 20 a month, excuse me. Okay, so the last reason I want to share on why federal buyers won't meet with companies like yours is that you're an unknown to them, right? They don't know who you are. And that totally makes sense, right? I get people who knock on my office door and they're just there. And I'm like, I don't know who you are. You instantly, I'm a little hesitant. I don't know you. Compared to if somebody knocks on my door and I see them 5, 10 times, whether I see them in person in meetings or I've seen them somewhere else, I'm like, oh, you're Sally who does such and such. Yeah, come on in, let's talk, right? People buy from those they know, like, and trust. Like and trust take a little bit of time. Knowing starts with the first time you're on their radar. You respond to an RFI, you're in LinkedIn, you call them up, whatever it is, you can begin to build their awareness of you, getting them to know you by a lot of the activity. But right now, if they don't know you, then you're nowhere on that roadmap that you need to be on know, like, and trust. And I'm not even getting to the like and trust at the moment in today's training, because it's really important that you get past the unknown part. Then you can start building that like and trust factor. So when you think about a federal buyer and you're reaching out to them, it's a risky thing for them, right? Especially if it's a federal buyer, and they're looking at a company that's out there. and you're not Booz Allen or Lockheed Martin or something, well, you're an unknown. And so that instantly increases the risk in their eyes. Our job as salespeople is to decrease that risk by helping them really begin to understand us. And I put here that we're kind of all the same, right? If I was going to sit there and hire a babysitter, right? If I know somebody and I've seen them down the block and they're always around, and now they're, a more mature teenager or something, it's like, I trust them. They're pretty responsible, right? Compared to somebody who just knocks on the door saying, hey, I got babysitting services. Like, yeah, no thanks. Right. And but then the reality is there's things that person who knocked on my door and was unknown to me, there's things they can do to pretty quickly warm me up to them, where I begin to see them as less of an unknown. I want to try to bring this up. Hopefully you can see it. Let me turn my screen off. This is the bell curve that I talk about, an adoption bell curve. And the thing I really want you to understand is when you're trying to reach out to people, I talk about this bell curve. And if you see the middle, half the people aren't going to talk to you. They're dirt, not gold. But the part I wanted you to see is right here. You've got this early majority and early adopters. Innovators pick up the phone. They're like, hey, I'll meet with you. No problem. And that's 2.5%, 2 people out of 100, right? Early adopters will meet with you when they get a chance. Maybe they saw you at the conference. They're like, okay, let's follow up. But the early majority, 34% of the people you try to reach out to, and this is an important group, 34% of them, when you reach out, aren't going to meet with you unless you have met with somebody else. And so this is my first recommendation to you is get introductions. If you can meet with a few people, this is why we talk about SBLOs or small business professionals within the government. You start there, other small businesses. If you can meet with people like this and you ask for an introduction, as you start moving forward with introductions, you can move into a bigger part of the bell curve of the amount of people you want to reach out to. So introductions are one of the best ways to get past being unknown. And give you a quick little tip on introductions. If you go on LinkedIn and you're engaging on LinkedIn, I can find somebody who's connected over here and I can reach out and say, hey, can you introduce me? And that's a really quick way to do it. The second thing, speaking of LinkedIn, is to engage on LinkedIn. Just start engaging with the very people you want to meet with. Be visible out there. And I say attractive, meaning the comments you're posting are intelligent, that make people see you in a way that they would want to meet with you. Your headline, your banner, what you say on your LinkedIn profile, that's the attractive part. You want to be visible. And then when they look at your profile, attractive to a person who's looking for a company like yours. This is what I meant by LinkedIn for GovCons. You can talk with Cecilia right there. I see in the chat. That's what she does, and she can help you do that. And the last thing, suggestion I have for getting past being unknown is send them something unsolicited. Send them a white paper or a case study on something. A case study can be a simple one-pager. Here was the challenge. Here's what we did. Here was the outcome, the benefit. And it doesn't have to be overly pretty. Nowadays, you can use ChatGPT, and it can help you actually make it look pretty decent, right? Even the formatting part. But the idea is to just tell a story about what you do to the person you're trying to meet who's related to what you do. I also put in here, send a video. I really encourage you to do a small video about, hey, here's the modern elevator service choices that are going into FY 2026. We used to break elevators this way. Now we break it this. It's something for you to consider, right? It's like a little quick video that you can do for your target customers. And these are things you can do to stop being unknown. All right, so here's some things I want you to remember from today's training. The first thing is just remember federal buyers, when you're trying to reach out to them, these people are just like you. They are your neighbors, the people you go to church with or go grocery shopping with. They are busy just like you. And if you remember that and have a little bit of empathy, then you'll stop seeing them as people who are resisting meeting with you. And maybe they're just so busy, it's hard for that to happen. And you just need to keep up and be persistent. The second thing I want you to remember is answer with them for them, even before you ask for the meeting, right? Be able to say, I want to meet with Jane. What's in it for her? And then the last thing is become visible out there in the entire market for being a subject matter expert or SME in your space for your company and for you, right? And if you're not so much a tactical expert, your company is, we'll just highlight your company, right? But become a SME. And there's so many simple ways that you can do that. Literally, just type into Google or anywhere, how can I become a SME? Right? And you can talk to other people. But when you do that, and then you try to get a meeting, they see you as a subject matter expert. They begin to have a little bit more trust that if they meet with you, you're going to be talking at a level that they can value. Okay, so hopefully you found that valuable. Make sure you track on the training for next week. If you're interested in getting joining me over at Call Plan AI to build strategic relationships. I'm still rolling this product out. It's launched, but it's in an early soft launch kind of thing. So check out Call Plan AI. I got a video over there that introduces you to me and to it. So come on over there. And for all of us, as we move out of August 1st into the weekend, just remember government contracting, it's not a secret. It's a process. I will see you in the next training.